And Congressman, what's your initial reaction now that we actually have confirmed that James Comey has been indicted on 2 charges?
It's an awful day for what's supposed to be a free country. This is a mad king picking off each of his political enemies. And I have to say, as a member of the Judiciary Committee, we're not helpless. And it's really a time to ask ourselves in Congress, will we shrink or will we stand up to him? And it's a time for your viewers to ask themselves, do they care? Do they understand that if Donald Trump has not come after you today, that he will come after you if you ever dissent against him? And so for me, I'm just more motivated than ever to win the midterms, to have accountability, to use the power of subpoena, and to make it clear that all of this is going to come out. Bar licenses are going to be at risk if people abused a bar license. And you don't need me because you've heard from other legal experts. But if you brought forward a case that you knew you could not prove beyond a reasonable doubt, that will put your bar license in jeopardy.
Well, yes, and our reporting does indicate she had concerns about the case itself, although not with her ability to get an indictment. Obviously, we understand the bar for an indictment is much lower than the bar for actual conviction. But Congressman, we did just get a post.
Right,
finally.
Aaron, the prosecutor's standard, and I just want to make it clear, is
yes,
you don't prosecute because you think you can get an indictment. When you bring an indictment, you have to believe ethically that you can prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt.
I'm glad you said that, and I want to context that, if I may, Congressman, just by saying that we are aware that there have been documents prepared in the Eastern District of Virginia by people who've been working on this, indicating that they did not think that this was a case that could be proven. They had that would have only been presented to Lindsay Halligan, who's now in charge of that office, on Sunday when she got the job. So here we are. Obviously, this was filed right away, nonetheless. The president has just posted, Congressman, and I want to read it to you because we just got this. So he posted on his own social media site, all caps, justice in America, exclamation point. One of the worst human beings this country has ever been exposed to is James Comey, the former corrupt head of the FBI. Today, he was indicted by a grand jury on 2 felony counts for various illegal and unlawful acts. He has been so bad for our country for so long and is now at the beginning of being held responsible for his crimes against our nation, capital N, all caps, make America great again. Congressman.
It's sick. It's sick. It's a mad king involving himself in something that no prior president has ever involved himself in, which is the independence of the Department of Justice. And it just comes down to, do we care? Do we, as Americans, care that he's just going after his political enemies? I'm at the very top of Kash Patel's list of his enemies that he put in his book. And I can tell you that the easy way to go would be to hide under the bed and avoid speaking out. But we will lose our country if our leaders, especially people in power, if they shrink. Because if I was to shrink and if others are to shrink, why wouldn't everyday ordinary Americans shrink? Why would they go to a town hall? Why would they go to the town square? Why would they participate? And so this is really a time for all of us, strength through numbers, to stand up.
You talk about the midterms. In that context, I want to ask you about something David Frum just said, because we've got this Comey indictment as we're waiting the actual documents. We anticipate a possible indictment within a day, as soon as a day, for John Bolton, former, obviously, advisor to the president and a political enemy of his. And also, we've been reporting on investigations now into institutions linked to George Soros and also to Reid Hoffman, another Democratic donor billionaire. In that context, what you said about the midterms, David Frum was talking about that those sorts of suits against people like Soros and Hoffman might make there be less money available for Democrats in the midterms, might make donors afraid, might make people scared of prosecution. Are you concerned about that? Is that a real risk?
It is a risk, Aaron, but give me the problem that we have won the midterms and we have to deal with whether or not they accept the outcome. Because right now, we have to first win. And I say that because I'm frustrated, frankly, that more Democratic governors are not stepping up and maxing out democracy in their own states, because our midterm elections are very decentralized. They're state by state. Gavin Newsom, for example, he's not talking about the existential threat to democracy. He's showing what we can do. We have Prop 50, which is on the ballot on November 4, to match the seats that were taken in Texas. So show, don't tell. What are you going to do to make it easier in your state for people to participate in democracy, as Donald Trump is trying to make it harder everywhere. So Democratic governors really need to step up, Aaron, because we can lose everything. And if we don't win the midterms in November of next year, we will not have a free and fair election in 2028. I promise you. And that needs to be clear to everyone.